Hi, this is Chris. So Samsung just did something they almost never do. They killed their flagship, the QN90 line, the one that sat at the top of their mini LED range every single year since 2021, and there's no replacement. No QN90H, no direct successor. If you've been shopping the 50-inch, you already felt it. It just vanished, and all that's left in that size is budget tier models. So before the why, hit subscribe, because this channel lives in the lab data and the long-term owner threads, so you walk in knowing what's real. And the reason Samsung pulled it, that's the part they're hoping you don't connect. Here's what's actually happening. Samsung didn't just retire one model, they handed the entire top non-OLED spot to a brand new technology, RGB LED, with their branding micro RGB. And everyone who wanted the old QN90 gets quietly nudged down a tier to the QN80H, so your upgrade path forks two ugly ways: pay more for first-generation tech or accept less TV. But there's one number sitting inside Samsung's own 2026 lineup that gives the whole move away. We'll get there. First, what was the QN90F actually doing that made killing it such a strange call? Okay, so to get why pulling this thing was strange, you have to know what slot it filled. The premium mini LED tier, that's the band sitting right under OLED, where you're paying somewhere between $1,200 and $2,000 for a 65-inch and getting most of what makes it great TV great. Deep contrast, serious daytime brightness, and no burn-in anxiety, which is the quiet reason a huge slice of buyers won't touch OLED no matter how good it looks. That last part matters more than people admit, because the buyer this category serves isn't the dark room movie purist. It's the person with 3 windows behind the couch, a kid who leaves a paused game frozen on screen for 4 hours, and a Sunday wall-to-wall with football. That buyer needs a picture that punches through daylight, and a panel they physically cannot burn. The QN90F was built for exactly that person, and now that person walks into a store and the slot is just gone. So here's the problem you're actually facing, and it isn't which TV is best, it's that your obvious move got deleted out underneath you. You can step down to the QN80H and quietly lose something, or step up into micro RGB and pay for a first-year technology. Neither one is the TV you came in for. And to be fair, Samsung's betting you won't clock the swap. They're leaning on the badge confusion to carry it. Now, think about the timing. This isn't a phone you replace next spring. A TV is a 7, 8, 9-year decision in most homes. Pull up any long-term owner thread and you'll find people still running panels they mounted back in 2017. So whatever you land on this year, you're living with it deep into the 2030s. That's the regret window. Get pushed into the wrong tier now, and you're not annoyed for a month. You're side-eyeing your own wall every football season for the better part of a decade. Alright, so what was the QN90F actually doing? And this is where it gets interesting, because the spec sheet lies about this TV in a way almost no other flagship lies about itself. Pull up the lab numbers from the testing outlets, the ones publishing full Kalman runs, and the QN90F's peak brightness lands around 2,000 to 2,500 nits on a 10% window. Sounds enormous, until you stand it next to its own class. The Hisense U8QG, same tier, same year, measured roughly 3,685 nits. The TCL QM8K outpunches it too. So on the one number every TV ad screams about, Samsung's flagship finishes last, dead last in its own category. And this is the tell. It didn't matter. It genuinely didn't matter, because the thing that decides whether a TV is watchable in a real American living room isn't peak nits in a blacked-out lab. It's whether afternoon sun turns your screen into a mirror, and the QN90F runs that matte anti-glare coating, the same treatment Samsung reserves for its flagship OLED, that takes a window behind your couch and dissolves it into a soft gray haze instead of a hard reflection floating on the image. The same reviewers who clocked it last in brightness rated it at or near the top for actual room viewing. Same TV, opposite verdict. That gap right there is the whole game. The whole game. My honest read, brightness is the most oversold number in this entire category, and the QN90F is the proof sitting right in front of us.
You can own the brightest panel on the shelf and still lose the room to glare if your coating's a mirror. The uncomfortable part, and I know half of you won't want to hear it, most people have been buying TVs wrong, chasing the brightness number on the box like it's the score that wins. And the dimmest flagship of 2025, the QN90F, is the one I drop into a sunny living room over panels that beat it by 1600 nits, because glare control takes the room. Lab peaks don't. So tell me below, did you buy your last TV off the nits number? Be honest. So that's the strength, but my job isn't to sell you a discontinued TV, it's to show you the warts because they're real. Take the picture apart, and the QN90F is a VA-type panel running about 720 local dimming zones on the 65-inch. Lots of zones, genuinely tight control. But watch subtitles on a dark scene or a star field, and you'll catch faint halos blooming around the bright stuff, and they widen the further off center you sit. Dead in front, nearly invisible. Off at the kitchen counter angle, it shows. That's the mini LED tax. Even a good one pays it. And then there's the flaw that actually breeds regret. No Dolby Vision. None. Samsung's refused that format across its whole lineup for years, even on the pricey sets, even when buyers begged. Anyway, back to this TV. A big chunk of what's mastered on Netflix, Disney Plus, and Max in Dolby Vision drops down to plain HDR10 here. Will a casual viewer in a bright room notice much? Probably not. But the buyer who reads Premium Flagship on the box and then learns Movie Night is running the lower rung of HDR, that's your month 6 frustration thread. Not because anything broke, because the fine print bit them. For gaming, though, credit where it's owed. 4 full HDMI 2.1 ports. Not 2 real ones and 2 filler ports. 4. Refresh up to 165 Hz on most sizes, and input lag the labs pinned around 9.5 milliseconds. For a console plus PC household, that's a fast, responsive panel, and it's one corner Samsung flatly refused to cut. 2 quirks worth flagging. The 115-inch caps at 144 Hz instead of 165, and the backlight ramps to full brightness over a beat rather than snapping there instantly, which a handful of film viewers find distracting. Minor, but you wanted the warts. Quick gut check before we push further, because this is where you come in. I'm about to run the QN90F straight at the cheaper mini LEDs that beat it on paper, and at the QN80H you're being herded towards. But I want to know what's driving your call. Bright room performance? Gaming? Or is it just, what do I even buy now that my pig vanished? Drop it below. It genuinely shapes which comparison I open with. Because here's what's been nagging me. Everyone's framing the QN80H as the gentle landing. Step down a tier, lose a little, pocket the savings. And the harder I lined up the real numbers between those two, the faster that story fell apart. There's a gap between them that's wider than one tier. And it points straight back to that single number buried in Samsung's own 2026 lineup. The one that explains why they really killed the QN90F. That comparison is next. So let's line them up for real. 3 rivals, 1 question. Now that your pick is gone, who actually deserves the wall? And I'm not comparing brochures here. I'm comparing what shows up in the long-term threads and the lab runs, because that's where TVs tell the truth. Start with the one that embarrasses Samsung on paper, the Hisense U8QG. Same tier, same year. And it measured around 3,685 nits against the QN90F's roughly 2,000. That's not a small lead, that's nearly double the peak output. And on a recent sweep, the 65-inch U8QG was sitting near $1,100, while the Samsung hovered around $1,500. So you're looking at more brightness, less money. On every number that fits in a YouTube thumbnail, Hisense wins clean. And yet, here's where it gets weird. Stand them in the same sunlit room and the math flips, because the U8QG doesn't carry the matte coating. It leans on a raw output to overpower glare, and raw output and reflection control are not the same fight. So you get a brighter image that's also fighting a mirror versus a dimmer image on a screen that erased the window. For the dark room cinephile, sure, Hisense's brightness and contrast are a feast. For the person this whole category actually serves, windows, daylight, football, my honest read is the dimmer Samsung is the smarter buy, which is a genuinely strange sentence to say out loud. Now, the TCL QM8K plays almost the same hand as Hisense. Tons of brightness, aggressive zone count, a price that undercuts Samsung. Real TV, real value. But the polish, the menus, the long-term software smoothness, the anti-reflective work trails what Samsung's been refining for years. Pull the owner threads a year deep and the pattern's consistent. People love the TCL's picture and grumble about the experience around it. The panel delights, the plumbing annoys. That's the trade. So if you're keeping score, the honest verdict on the rivals is uncomfortable for a Samsung fan. On pure dollars to brightness, Hisense and TCL win, and it isn't close. The QN9F earns its keep on glare handling, off-axis behavior, gaming latency, and software you don't fight. Whether that's worth the $400 premium is a real argument, with a real answer on both sides, and it depends entirely on your room. Bright room, the premium makes sense. Cave with blackout curtains, you're handing Samsung money for a coating you'll never need. And here's the take I know half of you will fight me on. Samsung killing the QN9F isn't an upgrade story, it's a margin story. They retired a $1,500 flagship people loved and pointed the top of the lineup at pricier first-year tech and a step-down panel. That's not innovation handed to you. That's the affordable sweet spot getting squeezed out from above and below. I think they pulled it because it was too good for the money. Tell me I'm wrong below. I genuinely want the pushback.
So now the comparison that actually matters, not the QN90F versus its rivals, the QN90F versus the thing Samsung wants you to buy instead, the QN80H. And remember what I flagged last segment, that the gentle step-down story fell apart the closer I looked? This is where it falls apart, because the QN80H sits a real rung lower on the architecture that defines this entire category, the dimming engine. Fewer zones, a less aggressive control algorithm, and every time a maker trims a lineup downward, that's the exact subsystem that gets cheapened first, because it's invisible on a spec sheet and expensive to build. It shows up as more visible blooming, a backlight that reacts slower, a flatter full-screen image in daylight. You don't read the difference, you feel it 6 months in, when night scenes look hazier than the demo unit did under store lighting. Here's the part that genuinely gets me, though. Look at the sizes. The QN90F came in 43 and 50-inch, actual premium panels in small sizes, which almost nobody else builds because most brands start their good models at 55. That tiny flagship slot was for the desk corner crowd, the small apartment crowd, the bedroom mount crowd. And in the 2026 reshuffle, the top option in those small sizes collapses to a lower tier. So if you wanted a genuinely premium 50-inch, that buyer didn't get downgraded. That buyer got abandoned. There is no 2026 Samsung that fills it. And that's the thread that's been pulling at me this whole video. Samsung didn't replace the QN90F with one TV. They replaced it with a fork, pricier tech up top, weaker panel below, and a hole where the small size flagship used to be. 3 different downgrades wearing one discontinuation. So why actually do it? Why kill a proven winner and fragment your own lineup? The answer is that one number sitting inside the 2026 range, the price line that reveals exactly what Samsung is protecting, and once you see it, the whole strategy snaps into focus, and you'll know precisely what your move should be. That's the verdict. Let's land it. Okay, bring this back to your actual situation, because best TV is a useless phrase. There's only the right TV for the room you actually have. So let me sort the people watching this into who you really are. If you're the bright room person, windows behind the couch, daytime sports, a paused game frozen on screen for hours, and zero interest in babysitting burn-in, you are the QN90F buyer. Full stop. That matte coating was built for your exact wall, and the brighter rivals will fight your windows in a way this won't. If you're the console and PC gamer, you're also covered here. 4 real HDMI 2.1 ports and that 9.5 millisecond lag aren't getting cheapened anytime soon. But if you're the blackout theater purist chasing perfect inky black with the lights off, be honest with yourself. You don't want any mini LED. You want OLED, and you should stop paying for a glare coating you'll never switch on. And if you're the small room buyer who needed a real 50-inch flagship,
I'm sorry, your slot got deleted, and I'll tell you exactly what to do about it in about 30 seconds. So here's the call. Best overall in this whole mess right now is the QN90F on clearance, a flagship grade panel at a price it was never supposed to hit because nobody pays a premium for a discontinued model. Best value is the same TV, which almost never happens. The brighter rivals win the spec war, sure, but for the room most of you actually live in, the dimmest flagship of 2025 is the smart money buy of 2026. The thing they killed is the thing you want. So let's resolve this. That one number I've been circling the entire video, the number that explains why Samsung really killed the QN90F. It's the price of the cheapest micro RGB, the R85H. It launched at $1599 for a 55-inch. Now hold that against the QN90F, which spent its life selling around that exact $1,500 mark for a 65-inch, a bigger, proven, fully loaded flagship. There it is. That's the tell. Samsung couldn't sell you a brand new $1,500 technology with a beloved $1,500 flagship sitting right next to it, making the new thing look overpriced. So the old champion didn't get replaced, it got removed. Cleared off the board so first-year RGB LED has room to breathe at a price the QN90F was quietly humiliating. And it's not just Samsung. Pull the 2026 announcements, and LG, Hisense, TCL, and Sony are all marching the same direction, into RGB LED, all at once. The affordable mini LED sweet spot isn't evolving, it's being walked off stage across the industry on purpose this year. Now here's what's actually happening underneath the marketing. RGB LED is real technology and it'll be genuinely great in a few years once it's matured and the price has fallen, but it's first generation right now. And the most honest signal in this whole story isn't from a critic, it's from the reviewers who sat with Samsung's flagship micro RGB and openly said they'd rather spend the money on Samsung's own OLED. When the people testing the shiny new thing quietly walk back toward last year's tech, that's not a coincidence, that's a verdict. So your move. If you're in the market and you find a QN90F still in stock, in any size, but especially that vanishing 50-inch, that's the buy, and the window is closing as the last panels sell through. You're not settling for the discontinued model, you're grabbing the last great value before the category resets and the floor price climbs. When a company kills its proven volume champion to clear runway for pricier first-year tech, the smart money doesn't chase the new launch. The smart money backs up the truck on the thing they discontinued. Every single time. That's the pattern. Kill the value leader, sell the upgrade. And it works because most people read discontinued as worse instead of last chance. So the truth bomb's simple. They didn't kill the QN90F because it was bad. They killed it because it was too good for what comes next. If you want one, move now and check the vetted current listings in the description because that's where you'll see real stock and real pricing instead of guesswork. Tell me down below, are you grabbing a QN90F before it's gone or holding out for RGB LED? I'll be in the comments. This is Chris. Watch your windows, not the nit numbers.